Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Popcorn Pixels podcast with me, Nidhi, and we have Sadiq, Farhad, and a new member talking about a film that's been making a lot of waves, pun intended, around the world. Hi, Urvaksh. Welcome to Popcorn
Hi,
Pixels.
thank you. Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you for having me.
So we're going to be talking about Gehraiyaan. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation because I think two of us have one opinion and two of us have a different opinion. So I'm really keen on discussing this with you and understanding the other point of view. So Urvaksh, I'll start with you. And the reason why I wanted you to be part of this conversation is because I know you're a really, really big Shakun Batra fan.
Yes,
So
actually.
yeah, go ahead.
No, so actually, Nidhi, Gehraiyaan is special because a few years ago, I worked on an ad film with Deepika, and Siddhant was in college with me. And I am a very big Shakun Batra fan because I like, the kind of cinema that he makes, Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu, Kapoor and Sons. And, he always, tries to, push the accelerator and come out with a story that I feel is very different and is very strong.
I agreed. And I think his first two projects definitely were in that zone. So typically, what we do is we start with the goods of the film, the bad, and the takeaway. But with this one, I kind of want to start in reverse. And
Okay.
the reason why I want to do that is because for me, a film becomes a good or a bad in my books, depending on how it's connected with me and what my takeaway
Correct.
becomes when I watch it, right?
Absolutely.
What was your
Okay.
takeaway once you were done watching the film?
Well, Nidhi, once I was done watching the film, I felt one thing is that people judge, maybe they're judging their partners a lot, or they think that what will their partners say, on a particular aspect or on a particular thing, and how will they react. So I think assumptions are termites in a relationship, and they should be completely getting off the grid. That's one thing. Second thing is that I think financial stability is very important. It's not only love and compatibility. That's going to help you sail the boat. Financial stability is very, very important.
I didn't know whether I liked the film or not once it had ended, especially because of the last 20 minutes that I think we will be talking about in detail. But I let that film settle with me for like a good 15-20 minutes before I started penning the review. So I actually allowed it to settle, and then I started connecting the dots. And as Urvaksh rightly said, that this was a very realistic portrayal for me. I was also chatting with a friend of mine, and we were discussing this film, and we were also discussing about concept of infidelity and even intimacy. And she came up with a very interesting thing that just struck a chord with me, that infidelity is so much more than just being physical. It is also an emotional connect. Cheating, we just so easily label it as just being physical with someone other than your partner. But it is also having an emotional intellect with that. That can also be cheating. I don't know. That's open to discussion. And for me, it just worked like a charm. The film really was, I think, probably the finest work of Shakun Batra, if I may say so.
I understand it completely that, infidelity or cheating is not like a one-dimensional thing. It has to do a lot with psychology and emotions, and it's mental and not just physical. The only major disconnect that I had, also one of the takeaways that I had was I didn't see how any of the characters, i.e., Alicia played by Deepika or Zain played by Siddhant, I didn't see their characters or their actions being justified into instantly just cheating on their partners, where it was Alicia, who was in a relationship of 6 years, and Zain, who was actually engaged to Tia and was basically flourishing in that relationship and in life because of it. So for me, that was a major disconnect where I was like, you're kind of you're introducing the characters as mature characters with a very high sense of security, but then it took only one meeting and one conversation over WhatsApp for them to completely flip. So that was a major disconnect for me, which is why the conversation about infidelity is different in my head, given if for this film specifically.
The key takeaway that I got in this was that there was lack of transparency and accountability from the very beginning, specifically from Siddhant's side. That first scene, when he says that Ananya Pandey introduced Siddhant to, both of them, Deepika and the other guy. So even that, from his expression, Siddhant, it was evident that कुछ गड़बड़ है उसके एंड पे. And when he was saying that that इसने yacht ली है वो भी लीज पे, तो मतलब to impress his clients. तो वहीं से मुझे कुछ एक टिकल हो गया था कि there will be something. And then from the very onset he was trying to flirt with Deepika. I mean, I won't say it was lust or love, whatever it was, but it was infatuation. Infatuation does occur.
When I'm watching a character, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes to connect with them. And I did that with Alicia's character. And I was like, had that been me and my cousin's fiance is touching me inappropriately for a selfie or eyeing me inappropriately, everything, I would do one of two things. Either I would confront him or I would go and tell my fiance about that. Okay, by the way, this dude is kind of weird. Like, it's those were the decisions that I would possibly make, which is why I was just very uncomfortable watching the whole thing pan out because it did not make any sense to me. The progression of their relationship as well, which was Siddhant and Deepika's in the film, also starts in a honeymoon phase, which happens naturally in any relationship, but then it goes through the pitfalls of a relationship. When the honeymoon phase ends, that's when reality hits. You fight, you argue, you discuss practical matters of life. You don't just stay in that rosy bubble, right? So for me, I was like, does Alicia's character not realize that this is real life? And the relationship that she ended with Karan was for the same reason, because it had died its time. I feel like it was very easy for Alicia's character to just blame everything on her childhood trauma instead of waking up and being like, this is what life is, grow up.
Two things. She was attracted, or she fell head over heels for Siddhant's character because firstly, she had a traumatic childhood, and secondly, because she had a traumatic childhood, she didn't want herself to be in the same place as her mother without realizing that she is actually treading that path. The morality that we actually have may not necessarily resonate with the characters that are there. But that is fine, right? I mean, at the end of the film, spoilers, both the girls, they do not get the guy. So both of them are dealing with their own issues, and by the time you realize your mistake, गाड़ी निकल जाती है.
Sadiq and I, we were briefly talking about this before we started recording. The music of the film is something that, as a standalone, is absolutely amazing. It didn't fit in the film for me. I felt like as standalone, they're absolutely amazing. But like Gehraiyaan, the title track, when it played, I felt so disconnected from the story from it. Tu kya dard hai, marz hai, dawa bhi. And I was like, okay, but who is she referring to when she's saying that? Is she talking about Zayn I don't know. It was just a big mess for me.
So Nidhi, yeah. I think that generally when a Hindi film, has, and any, like, people can correct me if I'm wrong, when you have like a lot of screenplay, and in this film there's a lot happening, so you're processing a lot also at the same time. So generally in a Hindi film, like, you have a song, like, to break that. To break that little monotony, and I would say it wouldn't be a Hindi film if there's no music. If at least एक गाना ना हो तो फिर Hindi film नहीं हो सकते.
गाना हो, but it's just one of those things कि वो music. Sorry, when I say music, I mean the songs. The songs didn't feel like it belonged to the story. Does that make sense?
Maybe one or two songs, they are not directly aligned with the screenplay or the script of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, because Bekabu and Dube, they are outstanding songs. I mean, they are probably my most favorite songs of the film, and probably they are one of the main reasons why I really like the film. And I literally loved when the songs were going on. But at times they are more like Pratik Puhad's songs. If you have guys listened to the Pratik Puhad songs of Old Mess, they're very similar to that.
Farhad is gonna kill us right now because I can already see him fuming.
I was just going to ask, what did Farhad think of the music?
No, I absolutely loved it, and and Nidhi was saying that that "Tu marz hai dawa bhi," that song वो किसके लिए था, so the answer lies in your question only. It is layered, so it is not hinted at somebody in particular.
Nice.
So,
I like
and
that.
Another thing is that since we are on music, good thing is that there are no remakes or remixes in the film.
Yes.
Yeah, thank God.
We should be thankful for that at least.
All original.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Not a single remix song, which is now very common in every Indian movie. Unfortunately, I should rather say every Hindi movie.
The second half of the film, which a lot of people, I think, felt was unnecessary or just did not like, etc. What was your take on the fact that the second half not only was the pace much quicker, but it kind of even changed the genre a little bit? What was your take on that?
It is debatable for sure. I think that was something that contributed in my rating going that little much higher as well, and that had to do a lot with those last, I think, 30 or 40 odd minutes that were there, which the story just turned on its head. I did not see that coming. None of us did, to be honest, and not in such a film. I feel, why not? Why not? If that filmmaker is surprising you with something, why not? A similar twist was also there in Ae Dil Hai Mushkil. I mean, I'm not a similar twist per se, not apple to apple, but out of the blue twist, you can say, was
You
there
could
in Ae
even
Dil
say
Hai
that,
Mushkil.
sorry, you could say that even for Kapoor and Sons, which is also a Shakan Bata
Kapoor
film.
and Sons still did not sway away from the genre. Ae Dil Hai Mushkil, that twist came out of nowhere. And to be honest, with Ae Dil Hai Mushkil, why I'm drawing a parallel, I'll tell you, because that twist could have done without there. I mean, the film should have ended at the interval mark. I think the very fact that none of us expected makes it an even bigger debate whether it should have been there, which should not have been there. But then I would say that I really enjoyed it. I mean, it just caught my attention again. Like if you see, Shakun did give a little hint, in I think a couple of scenes earlier in which the character of Siddhant was there. He was imagining doing something which eventually did not happen.
Yeah.
So there was this thread that was there, but I didn't think it was that significant at that point of time to turn it into a major event, that had happened.
I would second Farhad completely and say that, if you're on your recliner, then, you will straighten up and, now then, you'll get more intense and you'll be like, okay, what's what's going to happen next? For me, I think the film picked up where, Siddhant Zen goes to, I think, a grocery store or a store to buy a bottle of water, and she's making an attempt to check his phone. That's when I'm like that, okay, now it's, the trajectory has elevated from gear 2 to gear 4, and now things are going to build up, which also talks about a very important thing in the film, which are trust issues. Like, I was completely not expecting that Alicia is going to do what she did, but I would say, like, when she finished, I was like, maybe I would have done something similar, because like, when you've been through so much and when you're getting into something new with a certain sense of expectation, and with a certain sense of things working out, like in your headspace, you're like, you want this to work out, and then it doesn't work out, and then that's where shit hits the roof and all hell breaks loose. And of course, Shakun's endings have always been like, even with Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu, it just ends where they just become friends, and it ends
It's out
there.
of the box. It's not the
It's always
typical
out of the
end.
box, and I think that maybe that is what kind of is a cause of starting a conversation at your breakfast table.
So many people, they are saying that the film turned from Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna to Crime Patrol in just one scene.
Just my 2 cents on the pacing and the first half versus the second half was, I think after that climax scene, the film for me became more about love and relationships and infidelity to family drama and dark secrets. Like, that's when it kind of started unraveling for me, where I was just like, this was never about infidelity, this was never about cheating, this was never about two couples. It was way deeper than that, but it just happened too late, by which time I was already frustrated by all the actions of these characters. I was just like, pehle bata dete yaar. The last scene had me hooked. Urvaksh, I'm completely with you on that, but I was just like, wait, I want to know more what happens now. Alicia wanted to break away from the pattern of this family's deep, dark secrets and the inheritance of this trauma, right? And she was willing to basically come to terms with her reality. And she even said to Tia, I want to change. I want to come back to being your family, etc. And at that point, everything flips, where that auntie recognizes her. And for me, the key takeaway over there was, you can never hide or run away from your past. You have to make amends. So that, I think, was very, very interesting. I wish there was more to that instead of just a scene and out. But I guess that was the intention of the maker, right? So you keep on thinking about that. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Farhad, we'll start with you. In one line, how would you give your final verdict? And on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate it?
So I'm going to get trolled again on your video for this. So in my review, I'll use the same words. I mean, honestly, my opinion hasn't changed through the so many discussions that I've had over the weekend, and I'm actually mentally exhausted to
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no, it's okay, it's okay. So, and I'm going to be called out for this. Okay, I'm 100% sure I can bet on this, and I'll become a millionaire if you bet on it. So I have called this film a stunning masterpiece. Okay, and I know for many of you, this is not a masterpiece. This is not even stunning, master and piece together. I've heard all of these permutations and combinations, but for me, it is a stunning masterpiece, and I've rated it 4.5 out of 5.
One of my sisters, she used to say one thing, that what belongs to you, what is yours won't pass you. What belongs to you will come to you. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that, there's a friend of mine that wrote a line in another show that says that, not all relationships last forever, and they don't have to last forever, which is what Adib Rais wrote in Ye Crazy Dil. So that I think more or less sums. I'm sorry?
Common friends, I'm saying. We all know Adib.
Yeah. So that's what sums it up, is what I should say. And I completely agree with Farhad. So I think I'm going to get maybe, join Farhad in being trolled. But it is stunning. It's nice. It's something different. And I think that, audiences should encourage filmmakers and at least make an attempt to watch films. I would say a 3.5 out of 5.
My rating are almost aligned with Urvaksh, because I'm also going with the 3.5 out of 5. I may have gone with 3, but because I really love the technical elements of the film, specifically, the color paletting, the cinematography, the lighting, the music, specifically the music. And what really, at times, I have to agree with Farhad, that also angered me, that people, without even watching it, they are, criticizing the film. I mean, the film was released on Thursday night, and how come so many people, they are, bashing it with, with such ease, and many of them, they even, they admitted that we haven't watched it, because me and Farhad, we were watching the comedy. Yeah. So, and another thing which really angered me, that prior to its release, many people were saying it's a loose remake of Kabila Vadana Kehna. I mean, God's sake, many people haven't even watched Kabila Vadana Kehna, and they are saying that it's a remake of Gehraiyaan. So you haven't watched both of the films, and you are assuming. And it's so stupid, This is one of the main reasons why that I really think that Gehraiyaan is more of a brave attempt. If not a brave attempt, it's a good attempt. And such attempts should be made.
My take about the whole thing and my ratings, which you can find on Popcorn Pixel, I will share the link in the description as well. Very different from all three of you. I have rated it 2 out of 5. And the reason for that is primarily because when I'm watching a film, I need to feel it. Whether I feel positively or negatively, I just need to feel it. I need to connect with it, whether it's with the story or the characters. And I tried very hard. I just couldn't feel it, which is why the 2 out of 5. And something that Urvaksh, that you have said, I completely agree with that. And I feel like the fact that it was a brave attempt, as Sadiq said, it's a brave attempt. It's a great experiment for new age audiences and new age filmmakers, and definitely should be a welcome change in cinema. It's just the storytelling didn't leave a pleasant impact for me. And again, subjective opinion, right? So 2 out of 5 was my rating.